Hello all, Ruckus here. Happy New Year's. I hope you had a fantastic holiday season. I've had some massive nights in this past few weeks and my body is hurting. I need a holiday from the holidays. But I'm back, starting the year off with a tank review. The long promised and much delayed review of the newish Morse line. Starting here at Tier 4 with the PzKpfw 38T NA, which stands for PzKpfw or Armored Fighting Vehicle, Model 38 of Czech design, and the NA stands for Newer Art or State of the Art, apparently. It's pretty much a PZ38T with some welded armor in place of pop rivets and some extra frontal armor plating. The PZ series of light tanks was a pre-war Czech designed vehicle acquired by the Germans after the invasion of that country and eventually manufactured in-house. It saw service in the early years of World War II. It was considered reliable and easy to maintain. The chassis actually became the basis for the Marder III and Hetzer tank destroyers. Saw service in Poland, France and the Soviet Union, but was discontinued due to inability to mount a large enough gun to counter mid-war opposition such as the T-34 and such. Now, here I've got the vehicle stats for the PZ. It's the same as the IS-6 review in that the three boards, the vehicle, gun and armor boards. And for this one I've included the medium tanks at tier 4 because the light tanks in Blitz play a very similar role to the mediums. If you look at the hit points you can see they're all very similar. The PZ sits right in the middle at 530. The high point is the Valentine, unusually a light tank, at 570, and the weakest is the M3 Lee there. You can see it gets the Donkey Award at 500 hit points. And this is very different from on PC. The light tanks on PC they're often a one-shot kill for the larger guns at tier 6 and even the derp guns at tier 4 like the 105 on the Hetzer. So Wargaming has kind of upped their durability in Blitz to make them more relevant, I think, in a game which has no arty and smaller maps. The weight of the PZ is the lightest of the tier 4s here at 12.5 tons, so don't go ramming anyone. The power to weight is good, 22 horsepower per ton. It sits roughly in the middle. Speed limit is good, 60 k's an hour, 62 k's an hour. It's the third best, only beaten by the A32 there, the premium. Traverse is terrible. It's the worst out of the bunch. So even though you can shift around quite fast, at close range, trying to react to situations, it's not as good as some of the others. I mean, it's no heavy tank, but it performs the worst there. 35 degrees for the hull and 44 per second for the turret, which is roughly average. View range is good though. It's at one of the best, 240, and the fire chance is 20%. It's not great, but it's not bad either. It's certainly not as bad as the Covenanter, the British tier 4 light there. 40% chance of a fire on hit to the fuel engine. That is as high as it gets. I didn't even know it went up that high. That's crazy. Okay, if we open up the gun stats page, you can see from the amount of green on the left hand side of the board that the PZ gun, the 5cm L60, is solid, at least amongst the light tanks. The mediums definitely hold the advantage when it comes to firepower, but amongst the light tanks the PZ gun is one of the better performers. Alpha damage of 70 per shot is as good as it gets for the light tanks. The rate of fire of almost 16 shots per minute is great for a single shot cannon. Not as good as the autoloaders, but has a much better chance of getting to that advertised DPM of 1100 per minute. The autoloaders are too inaccurate and the penetration is not good enough to get to that high DPM, even though the potential is high. The Valentine has a terrible gun. You can see there, 800 DPM. It's way below the rest of them. It gets the Donkey Award. Penetration on the PZ is reliably good, the best of the light tanks, but I think the 57mm ZIS-4 on the T28 would be the most reliable gun out of this page for tier 4. Dispersion, not bad, 0.4. Aim time, not great, 2.3. It's amongst the worst there. Gun elevation, average 22 degrees, and gun depression also average -7. with the Covenanter being the outstanding performer there at negative 15 degrees gun depression. And last but not least, we have the armor board, which shows that, at least from the front, and theoretically that is, the PZ performs quite well. 50 mils of frontal hull and turret armor is fantastic for a light tank. Not as good as the Valentine there, which is a monster. That's 60 mils of hull and 65 mils of turret armor all around. But 50 mils is good for a light tank, that's for sure, especially one as light as this PZ, 13 tons I think it was. The rear though is a completely different story. 10 mils of both hull and turret is as bad as it gets for this board. But as a light tank, you should be using the speed to avoid being shot at the first place. You shouldn't be standing out in the open trading damage with someone. Now if we have a quick look at Game Model 3D's armor view of the PZ, you can see that whilst, yes, theoretically you do have 50 mils of frontal armor, it is only that very top plate sloped at 22 degrees, giving you an effective armor thickness front on at 54 millimeters. The rest of the hull is nowhere near as strong at the front. The front lower plate, 35 mils, sloped at negative 4 degrees, and there's a bit of a weak spot. Driver's hatch looks like 25 mil on the top plate, and of course the rest of the tank is weak. It's a light tank, you do not expect it to bounce shots. Okay, I've rambled on more than enough and you are probably ready for a bit of gameplay, so let's take the PZ out for a couple of matches and see how it performs. 2 games to show you, both myself and Carrick. In this match, Carrick is in the Derp Hetzer, fantastically OP vehicle when it has that gun. And let's start working the strengths of this little tank. Those are good top speed, 60 k's an hour, a decent mobility and power to weight, and an excellent view range and gun. I've got coated optics installed in mine and make the most out of that max view range when I'm moving around, and with the mobility I can get to these early spotting positions and give my team the best possible chance of setting up for an attack. T28 spotted, no one else as yet. You'll often find that if you spot guys as they back where that T28 is now, and they know they've been spotted, they'll pause and they get stuck there. And sometimes you can pin down whole teams in that spot, assuming you've got back up to fire at them. So not great accuracy on the PZ gun, but a good fire rate and penetration means that it's a reliable gun. A auto cannon from this range would be pretty much hopeless. They lose penetration quite badly over distance, and obviously the accuracy after the first shot would be nothing but pot luck. T28's had enough, he is bailing. Carrick is pushed forward, but he will soon find plenty of opposition. There's no way he can take on that Stug. And there's no way I can hit that Stug from here either. It's too far away. Let's move up. Hetzer spotted, floating in midair somehow. No chance with the 60mm pen on the AP, so swap to APCR. Do enough damage to scare him off. Carrick's getting plenty of attention there now, so he would probably welcome a distraction. Let's push up to the corner of this ridge. Take on these lightly armoured T28s. Both of which are now close to one-shot kills. These VKs make tough opposition. Good all-round armour. No dice. I need to change my position, so getting a run up here for some speed and try and flank across to that far ridge. Go, go, go. Swap to APCR. Somehow bounce off that T28. Go, son! Into cover. Still firing APCR even though from here I really don't need to. Swap back to AP. And now we've got that VK flanked. He can only point his gun in one direction, so it's just a matter of time before I reset my camo and I can play havoc back here. You can tell by the voice indication there that I am still landing shots on that Stug. And if you're still landing shots, you might as well keep firing. And that rewards me with a kill. Carrot goes down. There's only the VK and the Wolverine left. Wolverine is near on dead. And now it's just the VK, so he has a hard on for me. I'm going to play coy and flank around again. I pull up behind him, you can still see it's quite tough from the rear. Got some backup coming in. Climb, mighty PZ. The armor on this thing, you've got to hit the flat spots at a almost perfectly perpendicular angle to have any chance of getting through with standard AP rounds. And the T28 crashes into me. So, post-game stats, some decent damage there, 920, Carrick with 870, 19 penetrating shots from 26 shots fired, and 14,000 credits. On to the second game. Carrick this time in the A20 with the autocannon. He is going to find that these tier 5 matches offer very few targets that can easily be penetrated by that gun. The gun on the PZ is definitely a much more reliable option in the higher tier games. This is as bad as it's going to get for these tier 4 light tank matchups. You won't see tier 6s, thankfully. So I rush up quickly to the bunker, which is a fantastic spot for fast mediums and lights. Off the right hand side here you can get hull down if you're careful, and because the enemy can't see that concrete plinth there, often they'll fire into it and scream at rage as they wonder why they can't hit you. A single A20 spotted straight up. I think there's another one off to the left. This guy's bugging out. And our team is all up and pushing aggressively, so might as well advance with them and try and take advantage of the chaos. PZ is in some hot water, but there's an A20 by himself here with an autocannon. You can see him bouncing quite a few shells off the front. He's only got my turret to fire at the moment. More bounces. He finally gets through for the ammo rack, and he's done. T1 makes a lovely meat shield across through to the rocks, and it looks like there's an AFK M3. Focus on him, but I keep looking around. Got to keep an eye on the situation behind me. SU-85's climbing the ridge, and Carrick is taking him on head on. Not where you want to be in the A20. Get out of there, son. I think he's able to dodge around enough that that guy's shells all go wide. With him down, I can focus back on the Lee. You never know, he might spring into life if you leave him. Down Down he goes. KV1 is as tough an opposition, as tough an opponent as you could possibly get in a PZ. So let's leave him alone and try and surprise butt sex this stug. He spots me and he does a runner. Off to my left there's a DW2, the tier 4 German heavy, which also has a lot more armor than the standard AP rounds on this tank can deal with. And this guy is one of those players who is just content to sit there and watch you, not make any kind of move. He's just gonna hold his position. At least until he's completely threatened. So Carrick is doing a crazy dance with 2 tier 5s to my left. It would be really nice if I could polish off this guy, but he's got a fast firing gun and he's just single-mindedly looking at me, so I call for help, charge in. Carrick is on the ball, and now we can do a two-sided attack, and that stirs him up a bit. Back to AP because I figure he's well distracted enough to leave me alone while I aim my shots in more carefully. Down he goes. So the enemy is down to 2 tier 5s, and it's just myself and Carrick. He's got Stug again, scuttling away. Every time you see him he's running off. And we've got a VK hidden up the back somewhere, but I don't know what he's doing. At this stage he might as well not be in the game. Carrick rolls the dice one too many times there, and the KV1 gets a lucky shot into him. Now what is this guy doing? Is he going to be any help at all? If not, there's no way I can take on that KV1. I've only got 2 premium rounds left, and even those are not guaranteed to get through. Pull back. It looks like he's advancing. Just play the waiting game, at least until this guy's in position. Move forward to spot. And the KV1 is pushing up, so no point taking him on front on, so I pull around to the side, get spotted unfortunately. Back to the APCR, expect to run into the Stug. And there he is. A bounce, a miss, and he's off again. He's scuttling away again. Not this time, son. Now it's just a KV1, where VK is now in a good position and is actually doing some damage. I had no faith in him, but he's pulling it together, which is just as well, because with my AP rounds I pull over to try and help him and he's all red. It's the only part I can get through. So very nicely finished off to that VK, well done. And that was a monster game. The Mastery Badge, a slew of awards, and almost 2,000 damage on a gun with 70 alpha. 31 shots penetrating from 35 shot. Almost 30k credits and a bunch of experience. That was a good game. And so concludes my second tank review. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got the Tiger P in my garage at the moment, and I intend on pumping out a few of these in much faster succession than it took to get this one out. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. Peace.